I feel like what's been missing, and I don't know if it's ever been taught in people, is compassion. You know, it's just so, it's so simple. It seems like it is, and for a lot of people it's not.
That's right.
But if everybody could go inside their bodies and find that compassionate peace, the world would be a completely different place. Yeah, and it's hard when you see, you know, people in the news or whatever, and that's just everything. Even the news has changed so much, you know. It just seems, I'm like, are you in high school? What's the back and forth here? I'm like so confused. Can you just tell me the news?
Yeah.
It's like even on the news, there's just no, I mean, everybody's missing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I'm perfect with it, but I work at it. And I will say I feel like it does somewhat come naturally for me. But, you know, I'm human. There's days. And when I was going through my depression and I was drinking too much, I stopped drinking 2.5 years ago. I felt anger towards everyone, because inside I felt anger to myself. Like when you hate yourself on the inside, that's what comes out on the outside. And so that's where we go back to mental health. You know, people don't want to express that vulnerability, and because if you have it, then there's something wrong with you. There's not. Everyone has it to some extent. And when we can learn to express ourselves, go to that work colleague and say, oh, I feel like crap today, you know, I'm having panic attacks and it's awful. That frees up space within your body and your mind, and it starts a conversation. Yes. Because you know what? They're probably going to say, man, I felt like that the other day.
I feel like that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, so it's just tapping into really learning, you know, to heal yourself. When you heal yourself, you heal others around you. It's amazing, since I went on my healing journey, to see my kids change, to see the world differently. And, you know, just that's what we're doing here, is hopefully, you know, people are identifying this or wanting to, and if they're feeling anger or hatred, there's no shame in that. But, you know, go and talk to somebody about it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me, and also thank you for doing this work, because it's not easy. I'm sure you've probably taken on, like, you are empathic, so you might have worn some things with you during your conversation. So thank you for allowing me to express some things that have been on my mind.
Of course. You know, what's interesting is that I don't really feel like I wear it. I feel like, I don't know, it just feels natural. And connecting with people is so important. And yeah, so thank you for being here too.
Yeah.
So did you feel like therapy helped you?
100%. 100%.
Okay, good.
I was so nervous because I had never been, or maybe I had been in an environment where things were judgment-free, but I didn't know truly what that would be like. And so I met with my therapist, and she was just like, hey, we're just gonna have a conversation. You know, I have notes here about you, but let's just talk. And the initial conversation was just, you know, tell me about yourself, and, you know, how are you doing today? And then she helped me by saying, feel free to, you know, talk about what's been bothering you or troubling you lately. And from that prompt, I was able to dig so deep into things that I didn't even know were bothering me. I didn't know that I had held on to this deep, rich sadness for years. I didn't know that that was controlling me. And I was with that same therapist for about 1.5 years. And during that time, she gave me a lot of, you know, things to work on and things to take home, a lot of step-by-step, play-by-plays that I could do. And what I realized over time is if it wasn't working, it was because I didn't put in the work. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you do have to understand when you're in therapy. You have to do the work. Mm-hmm. You don't just go into the room, you talk it out, and then you leave and you're healed. Mm-hmm. You have to be active and participatory in your own healing process.
Absolutely.
And along your own journey. So once I started to really embrace that, it really helped me a lot. So my therapist was fantastic. Then I got a different therapist, not because the other person, you know, wasn't the greatest therapist for me, mm-hmm. but because I did want to explore some other facets of my mental health that another therapist was more in tune with. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you. I wouldn't have the relationship with my husband that I have, with my friends, with my bandmates, if I wasn't, you know, in therapy. Yeah. Completely changed my life.
Well, and for the music community, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you've heard of an organization called SIMS, but I was on the board for quite some time, and they provide therapy and addiction treatment facilities and other things for musicians, their families, the production crew, lighting. So that's just something to let, and they'll help you on a sliding scale or whatever. So,
that's wonderful.
So let your band member or whoever, people in the music community, know about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I've definitely heard of the organization, mm-hmm. and I have, talked with people that have gone through SIMS, and they've really been able to help mm-hmm. a lot of us in the music community. So yeah, excellent organization and a very important one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
no, that's good.
A lot of people they are ready to ask Black people about their experience for the sake of sound bites. They don't talk to us. They don't ask us questions. And when they do ask us questions, it's like, can you give a TED Talk about it? No, I don't want to TED Talk my way into you understanding. Mm-hmm. That's inappropriate. I'm a human being. Mm-hmm. Talk to me like one. I talk to you like one. Mm-hmm. So, I have a lot to say. A lot. And I didn't know a lot about the 1900 storm. The reason why I know about this is because of a book called Isaac Storm, and it's brilliant. I highly recommend it.
It's on my Audible list.
You're going to learn a lot about Galveston.
Okay.
And that's the only way that I learned about, the dead gangs and how terrible it was. It was atrocious, but yeah, there's just so much that's missed by trying to soundbite our way through this world. Mm-hmm. Asking us about Trayvon Martin and George Floyd and Botham Jean. Stop asking us about Sandra Bland. Do something. Mm-hmm. We are, in my body, I'm an able-bodied person, and I have all my faculties, but there are people out there that don't. There's people living on the street that their mental health is front and center, but in such a way that they are uncomfortable in themselves, in their own body.
How has music played a part of more of your self-expression over these years?
Yeah, music has played a huge part of my life, I think ever since I was formed. Now that you've asked me the question, my very first concert was in utero. And it was actually at a Prince concert.
Oh, awesome.
My mom, of course, loved Prince. I mean, who doesn't love Prince?
Oh my gosh, yeah, who does not?
And that was the first concert for me. And I think, you know, I was supposed to be in this world somehow, knowing that my life would be guided by sound. So, like I mentioned before, Jimi Hendrix was a huge part of that, but you know, there's so much erasure in rock and roll and in punk, and a lot of what I do now is in homage to these greats that came before me. So of course there is Rosetta, who birthed rock and roll, but also, not but also I should say, and so additionally there is Tina Bell, who I believe is the godmother of grunge. And I mean, I love Alice in Chains. I will talk people's ears off about Lane Staley all day and Jerry Cantrell and their magnificence. You know, that era of grunge, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana. You know, these guys, they're giants still to this day, but they're standing on the shoulders of Tina Bell. Her band is Bam Bam, and they were around the same time, actually before like Nirvana and all, and they were a huge influence on many people. Dare I say Kurt Cobain, one of our figures, and without her, I couldn't be here expressing myself in music at all, not without like a true sense of purpose. Her voice, her presence, her body, her image, that's who I lean into. So when I'm on stage, I'm able to, I feel, channel just a little bit of what she had, like maybe just a sparkle, just a speck of dust that she may have had. I'm able to experience that on stage. And when I'm really feeling it, when my bandmates and I are like locked in, when we're in the zone, there's something that happens, you know, everything just disappears. It's kind of like, it's like what Nina Simone said, when she is on stage, that's freedom. That's when she's free. And I have experienced that freedom on stage to open my mouth to express all of it, all the feeling, all of the hurt, and all the joy, and all the love that comes through. And it comes through because of Tina Bell, Rosetta Tharpe, you know, Jimmy. They're why I'm here. It's a tremendous blessing. It's a tremendous gift, and it's a responsibility that I don't take lightly.
Yeah, thank you for that. This, I don't know if this sounds like a silly question or not, but you have to tap into a voice, I would imagine, that, you know, how do you take care of your voice? Or am I don't know how I'm saying this, but it seems like you use your voice in a way that, you know, I don't hear from anybody else, and it seems like it would take a toll, but it may not. I'm just curious, like, how does that work? Or is this even a good question?
No, it's an excellent question. It's an excellent question because I'm still asking myself that question. The way I take care of my voice is, you know, a lot of water, a lot of tea, but, you know, the way that I'm able to kind of dig deep into that, like, soul, visceral expression is by recognizing that it's there, and then saying, okay, I know that you are welled up inside of me and you're about to come out. Now we need to do this in the best possible way, in a way that is safe for the both of us. So I do, you know, a lot of different vocal techniques and warm-ups, and I make sure that this lower register and these very low octaves that I tend to sing in, that they will be able to be heard in the way that they truly want to be heard without hurting my vocal cords. There's a lot of techniques that a lot of like heavy metal musicians use so that they are able to have conversations and talk regularly and normally in conversation. So I do a lot of helicoptering. I think a lot of musicians know what that is. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I'll probably, you know, look very strange. There's also amazing vocal coaches online that show us how to sing from the diaphragm and how to use a lot of air control, a lot of voice control, so that you're not relying heavily on your vocal cords. It's actually coming from that pit. So, you know, I love the expression, open up the pit, like open up this pit. I feel like that's how metal vocalists and punk rock vocalists are able to truly get the crowd going. It's like, it's coming from our pit, and it's active and it's stirring, you know, in the crowd, and just to see that energy, to see people like moving because your soul is just kind of stewing them, stirring them. There's no feeling on earth like that. That's music. That's powerful. And that's metal. That's punk. I mean, I could have attempted to be a sneeze of Beyonce. I can't sing like Beyonce. No one is the queen, but everybody has their own voice. And I'm very, very happy that I was able to find mine, and I'm very happy that I'm able to take care of it.
Oh, thank you for describing that, because I've always wondered, you know. And I know, you know, everybody has to take care of their vocal cords and learn how to use their voice, even if it's not through singing. And I'm actually seeing a therapist right now who helps with that, not for singing or anything, but just that there was so much trauma in my life that I couldn't find my voice, and I would find it hard to find words, and for a time I felt like I couldn't even speak. And so anyway, that's fine now, but just helping me feel confident in it, confident in my voice. And she does all these cool techniques. So
that's really cool. I thought you were about to burst out in the song.
No.
I was like, please.
No.
Belt. Like, let it out. Yeah.
I do in the car.
Yeah.
My kids are like, can you stop?
Like, shut it down. Shut it down, Mom. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
So can you tell our audience the coping things that you do, if it's daily or even weekly, just some, you know, if they're in a funk or experiencing some of that tiredness? I love that you said that, because if you're tired for days and days and days, I think that's a sign to maybe just check in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so what are some things that you recommend?
Yeah, I recommend, like you said, checking in with yourself, but I think sometimes people just don't even know how to start, and I usually start with a question. It's like, hey, is this sadness, or are we just trying to get out of chores? Do we get out of bed, or do we get to work? Which one is it today? And then I answer my question, and then I lock into something that HR, the lead singer of the Bad Brains, loves to say, and what he abides by, and that is to have a positive mental attitude, PMA. So I lean into PMA as much as possible. I like to tap into that. So that's one of my coping mechanisms, just that, you know, daily reminder. You can choose. You can choose your mental attitude. And if there is a choice to be made, make it a positive one. Some other practical things that I do when I'm feeling, you know, a little rocky road, I'll grab a cup of water, just a cup, not a glass. A glass is too much pressure sometimes. I just get a cup of water, say, all right, we're gonna get into it. And we're gonna take it one step at a time. I give myself 30 minutes to situate myself. And I have my little timer on my watch, give myself my 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes is up, I'm like, okay, we have an hour to complete our task. So I just kind of give myself time. So I check in, I choose my mental attitude, I grab my cup of water, and I give myself time.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to slow things down a bit.
And time is so precious.
It is.
And I think a lot of my anxiety came from, am I using my time wisely? Am I being productive? And I'm not being productive, so now I must stop because I didn't do this thing and I didn't do it perfectly. And you get in your own head, you get in your own way. So I had to figure out how to give myself the most precious commodity, which is time.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's just beautifully said. Yeah. And it I don't know about you, but it's taking me time to understand that it's okay to slow down. You know, if you have even a big project going on and you're feeling like you're just kind of out of your body, or, you know, if you're rushing to get the house clean just because you have to go on to the next thing and you just can't stop. Even if it's for 5 or whatever, just stop, slow down, and, you know, get recentered. It's wonderful. It works wonders. It does.
It does. Yeah.
And for some reason, when I slow down, I feel like I have more time.
It's about presence.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here we're at South by, so we had the very, very great fortune to go to a documentary last night called, and I hope I'm getting the title right, In the Court of the Crimson King. Okay, so documentary about the world's greatest rock band, King Crimson. In it, the band leader, Robert Fripp, he talks about presence. He talks about silence. He talks about how he prepares himself to receive the gig, to receive the music, and to be present. And I learned from that documentary last night, from this towering presence of rock and roll, that it's okay to be silent and to live in that silence, because that is where the sound lives. What a powerful, powerful gift to give, you know, a room. Robert Fripp is quite fantastic, and I would encourage you to listen to King Crimson. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna go back and listen to more of your music and just kind of broaden my mind on that. I will say, when I was a teenager, I started to feel a lot of anger, and I was in love with Eddie Vedder.
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't? But I just felt like Pearl Jam like tapped into my soul. And I mean, still, I can listen to that music every day. I love it that much, and it's like, not that I feel that teenage anxiety and anger anymore, but it's just something about it. So that's about as like hardcore as I've ever gotten. But I you know, music's been an important part of my life, and sometimes I feel like it's what's gotten me through life. And so just after this conversation today, I'm like, well, you know, just I don't need to close my mind off to, you know, this other part of music that I've never tapped into. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a true pleasure, and just feel like I could sit here and talk to you for much longer.
Well, we can. I've got some time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for joining us, G.
Thank you.
It's just really been a great story and learned so much.
Thank you.
And we want to thank you again for joining us at Speak as One, and to the fabulous Miss G, and we'll have all of her information listed below. Please share, like, and subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.